Hello. Okay, so we are going to be reading Julius Caesar, Act 5, Scene 3, and we're going to go ahead and get right back into that battle. So they were kind of staged. The battle is about to begin. They tried to do a parley. They tried to have some conversation first, see if they could avoid losing lives. They couldn't. So now we're on to the battle is raging. Okay. So we are starting Scene 3. Scene 3 is on page 905 in your textbook or the shakespeare.folger.edu website.
Oh, look. Titinius, look. The villains fly. Myself have to mine own turned enemy. This ensign here of mine was turning back. I slew the coward and did take it from him.
Oh, Cassius. Brutus gave the word too early. Who, having some advantage on Octavius, took it too eagerly. His soldiers fell to spoil, whilst we by Antony are all enclosed.
Fly further off, my lord! Fly further off!
Okay, so we get a little bit of what has happened. You know, Brutus had that big idea of getting the people up there to come down as he's going forward. And Cassius says, Titinius says, Brutus gave the word too early. Who, having some advantage on Octavius, took it too early. His soldiers fell to spoil, whilst we by Antony are all enclosed. So Antony's over here enclosing Cassius's army, but Brutus is consumed with this idea that he can get Octavius. So he kind of attacked too soon, and it didn't end up working out. A lot of his army was killed in the process. So that didn't work out great. Now Pindarus has come in.
Mark Antony is in your tents, my lord. Fly therefore, noble Cassius. Fly far off.
This hill is far enough. Look. Look, Titinius. Are those my tents where I perceive the fire?
They are, my lord.
Titinius, if thou lovest me.
Okay, so now Titinius has told Cassius that, or Pindarus has told Cassius that Mark Antony is in his tents. So Mark Antony's army has made it to their camp and has set their tents ablaze. So they're getting, like they're losing things right now.
Mount thou my horse, and hide thy spurs in him, till he have brought thee up to yonder troops and here again, that I may rest assured whether yon troops are friend or enemy.
I will be here again, even with a thought.
Go, Pindarus. Get higher on that hill. My sight was ever thick. Regard Titinius, and tell me what thou knowest about the field.
Okay, so one thing, it's interesting, Cassius says to Titinius, go up and... He says that I may rest assured whether yond troops are friend or enemy. So these are all Romans. They're all dressed basically the same. Like they all look like Romans. They're all wearing the same type of, if they have any continuity to them at all, they all look similar. Okay, so this isn't like that would be hard in an actual battle. If everybody looks the same. You know, if you think of, things that you've seen in more recent battles where maybe, World War I, where people were in a battlefield, or they were like in those trenches and they were dressed differently. They had insignia on them that told what army they were with. Maybe their hats looked a bit different. Maybe there was a bit of a different, color, I hope. I mean, it's hard. Whenever everybody looks the same, it is difficult to know who is the friend and who is the enemy, especially in a heated moment whenever you're trying to identify that person immediately. So Cassius is sending Titinius out there to tell him if it's friend or foe, who these people are that are kind of coming toward them.
This day I breathe it first. Time is come round, and where I did begin, there shall I end. My life is run as compass. Sirrah, what news?
Oh, my lord.
What news?
Titinius is enclosed round about with horsemen that make to him on the spur, yet he spurs on. Now they are almost on him. Now, Titinius. Now some light. Oh, he lights too. He's tame. And hark, they shout for joy.
Come down.
Okay, so Pindarus is up on a hill. So Cassius has said, Pindarus, go watch Titinius and tell me Tell me as he reaches the troops what happens. So Pindarus is watching, and he says of Titinius, oh my gosh, he's enclosed round about with horsemen, that make to spur on, that make to him on the spur, yet he spurs on. Now they're almost on him. Now Titinius, now some light. Oh, he lights too. So they're getting off their horses, and he's taken. Hark! They shout for joy. So that's the report that Cassius has just heard.
Down. Behold no more. Oh, coward that I am, to live so long to see my best friend ta'en before my face. Come hither, Sarah.
Pindarus leaves.
In Parthia did I take thee
enters.
prisoner.
Sorry.
And then I swore thee, saving of thy life, that whatsoever I did bid thee do, thou shouldst attempt it. Come now, keep thine oath. Now be a free man, and with this good sword that ran through Caesar's bowels, search this bosom. Stand not to answer. Here, take thou the hilts. And when my face is covered as 'tis now, guide thou the sword. Caesar, thou art revenged, even with the sword that killed thee.
So Pindarus comes down off the hill, and, Cassius has just been told that, Titinius has been overtaken. The army that he sent him to go see, if it was theirs or the other guys, it was the other guys. And he says, to see my best friend taken before my face. This is too terrible. And then he says of Pindarus. So Pindarus is his servant. Pindarus has been his, slave for several years. So he tells Pindarus, he says, you told me once, whenever in Parthia did I take thee prisoner, so you've been my slave ever since Parthia. And then I swore thee, saving thy life, that whatsoever I did bid thee do, thou shouldest attempt it. So come now, keep thine oath. Now be a freeman, and with this good sword that ran through Caesar, search this bosom. Stand not to answer, take thou the hilts, and when my face is covered, as 'tis now, I'm going to cover my face, guide thou the sword. Caesar, thou art revenged, even with the sword that killed thee. So Cassius has decided that this is it. It's too much. Can't do it. It's not. This is he needs to just end things. He can't. It's going poorly, and he doesn't want to see it go any more poorly. So he has Pindarus, his slave, take his sword. He hides his face, and then Pindarus stabs him. Let's see what Pindarus says.
So I am free. Yet would not so have been, durst I have done my will. Oh, Cassius. Far from this country Pindarus shall run, where never Roman shall take note of him.
Okay, so Pindarus didn't want to kill him, but, Pindarus belongs to Cassius, and Cassius ordered him to do that, and said, whenever you do this, you're free. And so Pindarus says, all right, I didn't want to do it, but there it is. Far from this country, Pindarus shall run, where never Roman shall take note of him. So right now, everybody's busy. I'm going to run. I'm going to get out of here, and I'm free. Okay, this is back to Titinius. So we've just switched in the scene. Now we're with Titinius, who was, remember, overtaken by enemies.
It is but change, Titinius. For Octavius is overthrown by noble Brutus' power as Cassius' legions are by Antony.
These tidings will well comfort Cassius.
Where did you leave him?
All disconsolate with Pindarus, his bondman, on this hill.
Is not that he that lies upon the ground?
He lies not like the living. Oh, my heart.
Is not that he?
No. This was he, Messala. But Cassius is no more. O setting sun, as in thy red rays thou dost sink to night, so in his red blood Cassius' day is set. The sun of Rome is set. Our day is gone. Clouds, dews, and dangers come. Our deeds are done. Mistrust of my success hath done this deed. Mistrust of good success hath done this deed. Oh, hateful error, melancholy's child. Why dost thou show to the apt thoughts of men the things that are not? O error soon conceived, thou never comest unto a happy birth, but kill'st the mother that engendered thee. What? Pindarus? Where art thou, Pindarus? Seek him, Titinius, whilst I go to meet the noble Brutus, thrusting this report into his ears.
Okay, so Titinius wasn't surrounded by enemies. The reason that they all kind of surrounded him and shouted for joy is because it was his men. They were on the same side. It was Messala and the gang. So Cassius, who basically was worried about, like, you know, that they were losing, has just had Pindarus kill him for no reason. So that's stupid. Like, what a completely inglorious way to die. So as far as, like, so it doesn't even, I mean, like, you can kind of understand if it's a big battle and everybody's already dead and there's no hope, and then, like, that's the thing that, you know, he decides he needs to do. That's not what happened. I mean, he, like, prematurely had Pindarus kill him. Pindarus is gone. Pindarus is like, see ya. And so now they're like, oh no, we have to tell Brutus what Cassius just did. Because Brutus and Cassius were kind of like, you know, a team. They were leading this army together, and now Cassius has taken himself out, and now Brutus has to command the rest of this army all by himself. And remember, he's not a military guy. He's been like a senator for all these years, so it's not like he's great in battle and military strategy.
I may say thrusting it, for piercing steel and darts envenomed shall be as welcome to the ears of Brutus as tidings of this sight.
Are you, Messala? And I will seek for Pindarus the while. Why didst thou send me forth, brave Cassius? Did I not meet thy friends, and did not they put on my brows this wreath of victory and bid me give it thee? Didst thou not hear their shouts? Alas, thou hast misconstrued everything. But hold thee. Take this garland on thy brow. Thy Brutus bid me give it thee, and I will do his bidding. Brutus, come apace, and see how I regarded Caius Cassius. By your leave, gods, this is a Roman's part. Come, Cassius' sword, and find Titinius' heart.
Okay, so, like, Act 5 is not, you know, things aren't going well so far. I mean, our death count is getting higher, so I guess that's a thing. So Titinius is pretty upset. He had a one of those little wreaths to put on Cassius and be like, yeah, buddy, I think we're doing well. And from Brutus, and he looks at Cassius's dead body, and Titinius cared for Cassius. So he's like, oh, how you misconstrued everything. You got it wrong. You were looking at the scene and you completely misinterpreted everything and then ended up having Pindarus kill you because of it. How stupid was that? So he puts the garland on Cassius, and then he says, see how I regarded Caius Cassius, and I cared about him so much. By your leave, gods, this is a Roman's part. This is a Roman's role. Come Cassius's sword. So he takes Cassius's sword and finds Titinius's heart. So he goes ahead and, like, harms himself, like kills himself. Daisy is completely into this. Look at that. She is intrigued. Yeah, this is crazy. So now, not only is Cassius dead, now Titinius is dead as well. Gracious. Call to arms. Brutus and everybody.
Where, Messala, doth his body lie?
Lo, yonder, and Titinius mourning it.
Titinius faces upward.
He is slain.
Oh, Julius Caesar! Thou art mighty yet. Thy spirit walks abroad and turns our swords in our own proper entrails.
Brave Titinius! Look where ye have not crowned dead Cassius.
Are yet 2 Romans living such as these? The last of all the Romans, fare thee well. It is impossible that ever Rome should breed thy fellow. Friends, I owe more tears to this dead man than you shall see me pay. I shall find time, Cassius. I shall find time. Come, therefore, and to Thassos send his body. His funeral shall not be in our camp, lest it discomfort us. Lucilius, come! And come, young Cater, let us to the field. Labio and Flavius, set our battles on. It is 3 o'clock, and Romans yet ere night. We shall try fortune in a second fight.
Okay, so Messala got to Brutus and said, "Oh my gosh, Cassius is dead." And Messala's like, "Oh my, where's his body? Let's go pay our respects." He's like, "Yeah, he's over there, and Titinius is mourning him." And then they're like, "Titinius is laying on the ground, his face upward. I don't think he's mourning him." And then they're like, "Ah, he's slain." And Brutus says, "O Julius Caesar, thou art mighty yet. Thy spirit walks abroad and turns our swords in our own proper entrails." So, Caesar, you're revenging yourself by having us kill ourselves. Interesting. And so Brutus is like, "Oh, these noble Romans, they're dead. Friends, I owe more tears to this dead man than you shall see me pay." You know, he doesn't have time right now to cry. He's in the middle of a battlefield. He's trying to tell men which way to go and what to do so they don't lose. So he doesn't really have time to mourn and to reflect on this, but things are not going well. And so eventually, like, okay, they've got to get back out in the battle. Maybe, who knows, maybe, you know, something will work for them. Probably not. Okay, so that's the end of scene 3.